All right, everybody. It is 6 o'clock. We will call this meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Halifax Finance Committee on the 16th of March of 2026. This meeting has been posted in accordance with the provisions of MGL Chapter 30, Section 20B, and is being recorded and will be posted on Area 58 Community Access Channel. The Finance Committee reasonably anticipates the following matters to be discussed and or voted on at this meeting. Agenda items may be taken out of order for time management considerations, and the committee members in attendance are Cheryl Burke, Frank Johnston, E.J. Bryan, Mike Rignetta, Rod Hemingway, and myself. Mike Bennett should be along here shortly. So with that, as this is a virtual call, all votes will be taken via roll call. So the first item we have on our agenda is the approval of meeting minutes. Now, I sent out the corrected minutes for the last couple of meetings today. So if you guys want to, if you haven't had a chance to read it, that's fine. They just went out today, so they'll be on the next agenda to get approved for the corrections that were asked for. So we will pass on that specific agenda item. And then we'll move to the budget meeting review. I put this on here because we did have a 3-hour meeting last Monday, and we really didn't have an opportunity to kind of, decompress and kind of chat about what we heard while we were there. So I want to open it up to the floor for comments from the members, just some discussion on some of the challenges that at least I heard on Monday night. So please, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I voiced my opinion early in the meeting with the police and fire budgets. And I'm assuming, I haven't seen the revised ones, but I'm assuming they're going to stay the way they are. And I believe, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, you went to the selectmen meeting. Did they vote for the override?
They did vote to put an override on the town meeting warrant, but they haven't decided whether they want to do one override or they want to do the school and then the general town government, which in my opinion you should do it. It's kind of an all or nothing thing at this point.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way I'm thinking too. I was looking originally at a split, and the more I thought about it after listening to the comments in the meeting and stuff, I think it's best to roll it all into one override.
Right.
And now, because I thought they weren't going to do that until they were going to hold a Thursday meeting, but I see they didn't do that to make that decision last week. That's what they had talked about in our joint meeting.
Right.
And so if I'd have known that, I would have went to Tuesday's meeting because I thought they were punting till Thursday on that.
Right. No, that's fair. And I believe the process at this point is they just voted on putting an override out there because that vote does have to come from them. The form that it takes doesn't really have to be specified or settled on until it goes to print for the warrant.
Really?
Yeah.
They just did the 1.5, so that's the total that they voted on. So if it later gets broken up, it's $1.5 million, whether you break it up or you keep it. So they voted yes to go forward with a $1.5 million override.
Right. So how are they going to break it?
They did not discuss that.
They have not determined that yet.
They didn't discuss if they actually will. They didn't discuss any of that. The only thing they had to do was the total number, which is the 1.5.
Yeah. So Steve, the town administrator, did not exceed the 1.5. That's the maximum amount, correct?
That is correct.
Because he had talked about adjusting more numbers prior to that.
No, they did 1.5.
So we're staying with the numbers that we were presented with on last Monday. Is that correct?
Yep.
I have a quick question. How would, like Frank said the same thing I was thinking, I thought they were going to go till Thursday and then they didn't. How as a town member or even on this board, how would I know that? how did I not know that Tuesday they were going to make a vote and then Thursday there was no meeting when then Monday night they said they were going to make a meeting for Thursday? How would we know that as the public? How would I
I
know that as the public?
personally kept looking at see if they met the deadline for the second meeting, and they didn't.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, but their agenda didn't say for the Tuesday meeting they were going to discuss that, unless they pulled it up under as may arise. I'd have to go back and look at their agenda.
The override wasn't on Tuesday?
So
That's when they
I don't
did.
think it was specifically on the agenda for Tuesday. I
Right.
believe it was discussed and voted on during the town administrator update.
Yeah, because in the joint meeting they said they couldn't vote the day that we were doing it because they didn't have it on their agenda.
Right.
And my understanding was it wasn't on Tuesdays either. That's why I said, well, we're going to do it on Thursday. Give us more time to figure it out. And then they didn't pull
Yeah.
a Thursday meeting.
Yeah, no, that I am not sure about.
Yeah, but either way, it's done. So
Yeah, no, I
Right.
mean, I'm glad it's done. I'm just curious how
Right.
we seemed pretty involved in that the whole discussion about it. And then as the finance committee, we didn't know it was happening. Or as just town member, I didn't know it was happening. Like that's
you're absolutely correct, Michael.
Yeah, I mean they thought they could vote for it at our meeting, but because they hadn't posted it as part of any sort of agenda from our meeting, because I don't think they had an agenda, right? Because they joined our meeting, that they couldn't do it during our session, and that they were going to work to do the Tuesday and then the Thursday, like you guys said, but Thursday never happened for whatever reason.
Thursday of last week?
That's correct.
Yeah, that
Yes.
was my understanding as well, that they were going to do it
That's
Thursday.
the last thing they
needed
said
a
in
48
our
hour
meeting.
notice.
Right. They wanted to make sure they met the 48 hours for Thursday.
Right.
right.
Yeah, in fairness, I do think that they were kind of speaking in the moment. Like it was all happening right then and there, and I think they just kind of threw out arbitrary days to try to play it out so that they were legally meeting the notice requirements that they had. I
Right.
don't think they had actually thought through it enough to really see when it was actually going to play out. That's just
Yeah, I
my-
just don't like personally feeling uninformed. That's all. Maybe it's just me.
yeah,
I need
no,
to-
I'm with you. I'm with you
You know.
100%, Mike. Yep.
Excuse me.
I don't disagree.
Oops.
But hey, Susan, how are you?
Hi. Just to interject a little bit.
Yes.
It was on I don't know what was said or who said what, but I'm just letting you know that it was an agenda item to speak for the draft ballot questions because
That's correct.
I needed it to do the draft. And that's where they were talking about the wording for the 1.5.
Okay.
All right.
And that was on
Yeah.
Susan. That was on Tuesday's agenda, right?
That's correct.
It was, yes.
Okay. All right. So then they were just misinformed about how they could get that done on Tuesday, basically, by telling us they had to wait till Thursday.
Yeah,
Is
that's what I'm saying, Mike. Where I think they were just speaking in the moment at our meeting, where it
Right.
was like kind of panic mode. It had just happened, and they were throwing out an idea without realizing the significance of others that might have heard it.
Yeah. All right. Again, just with our meeting being recorded on Monday in the world of transparency that we are really working hard to live up to for the town, when that gets said at our meeting on Monday night and then that happens on Tuesday, it's not a bad thing. It's just we knew it was coming. It just without the notice, I feel like I would like to have known. That's all.
Yeah.
Again, I hate to interject. I believe that was just the wording for the ballot question. I don't believe they voted on how to separate the question.
They did not. That is correct.
Yeah.
They just voted the amount of the override, not how it's going to be structured or how it's going to be on the ballot.
Correct.
Yes. And Sue, that's the question that is
Okay.
out there right now: is when that 1.5 million vote actually happened versus when we thought it was going to happen. I think that's what Mike's driving at.
Oh,
right?
okay. All right, because I do know that the separation has not been decided. So,
Right. No, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I agreed.
okay. All right.
I'm looking at their agenda right now from Tuesday, and I may be misunderstanding this. Well, Jim, you said they put it in the town administrator update.
Well, it was discussed during the draft ballot questions.
During the draft ballot questions.
Right.
Didn't know that the budget was a ballot question.
Not the budget, the override is a ballot question.
Right. The override is a ballot question, so
We're not
that's
talking
who
about the
wording.
budget. So we're talking,
Yeah.
these are two separate
All right.
things.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the ballot question fulfills gives us the ability to set the budget that's been proposed. Is that right?
No, the ballot question is the override. The
Mhm.
budget is the finance committee's budget that we have not approved yet.
Right. Right.
So we haven't approved the town's budget. The only thing that was discussed was how much the override was going to be.
Right.
All right. All right.
I think that I liked and appreciated the department heads who spoke about their departments and the effects of either approving the override or not approving it, and what the real life effects will be for the town. Because I think everyone needs to understand the gravity of which we're kind of going forward with this process and approving the budgets and getting them set for the various towns departments, including fire and police and schools, which are the biggest budget items, but also the Council on Aging and how that will impact their ability to provide services to our elders. And I just really appreciated that people took it seriously and really spoke to what these numbers will actually mean for overnight fire or overnight police, and the fire chief who spoke about 2 and 2 principle. Like if we're cut down to 2 firemen, they will not be able to enter a building until they get mutual aid or to have 2 people outside to enter. I think those kind of things, a lot of people don't quite understand how a budget will impact the ability to provide best services to the community.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I think they had that same situation actually on Wednesday of last week, where we had the Halifax ambulance was out. There was a car accident. The only 2 people that could respond was the fire chief and Deputy Chief Benner, while they waited for mutual aid ambulance to come in from Hanson, which obviously delays the care that an ambulance brings with it. So, the Chief Whittam and Chief Benner probably most likely rendered first responder aid as best they possibly could with whatever equipment they had in their vehicles. But the advanced care that comes with an ambulance wasn't there until whenever it got there. So that's the first thing. The second thing is if there are structural operating budget cuts because an override is not approved, that becomes an even more commonplace problem than what it currently is. So these are the things that we need to kind of work through to get out in front of the constituency of Halifax and its residents, so they have an understanding of what this actually means.
Absolutely.
That's kind of where we're at. So, with that said, there's we put a PowerPoint together, and I gave it to Steve today for him to give to the override study committee for them to kind of grind through and structure a conversation that they can have with the residents as part of the committee. So what I'm gonna share my screen and share it with you guys now, so you can have a look at it. It's just basically facts, basically. It is not anything, it's pretty simple. Let me know when you guys can see it. Everybody see it?
No.
No.
Yep.
Oh,
There you go.
Yep.
I'm up.
there it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there's kind of like just a very quick agenda. This again, as when I put it together, it's just all just basic factual information. So what the situation is, our level service budget gap, 1.5 million. This is not new spending. It's going to maintain current police and fire staffing, current school staffing, current DPW services. That includes trash pickup and all the other, and the recycle center and all those things associated with it. And then the current library and senior services. Right? Why is there a gap? Well, here's why. So the major cost drivers have been health insurance, special education, contractual wages, stormwater management, energy and utilities. So everything is up, starting with health insurance at 14.2% increased. Stormwater management is up 28%. The Plymouth County retirement is up 7.6. And Silver Lake Regional Assessment is up 6% over last year. And then the energy and utilities is up an average of 6%. So, state law limits revenue growth while the essential costs continue to rise. So Proposition 2.5 is what we can raise it. But, costs have exceeded that, obviously. So where do the tax dollars go when they are allocated correctly? Typical breakdown of the $31.3 million, which is the town budget, is 53% goes to the school. 12% goes to benefits and insurance. 11.4 goes to the police and fire. Public works is 8.2. General government is 6.4. So that's the general government is just the town hall. Library is 1.1. The COA is 0.7. And then parks and rec is around 0.2 on average. So, the majority of the budget funds direct services to the residents. So a failed override means those services get cut. So if the override fails, what happens? Possible impacts: schools, larger class sizes and program reductions. Public safety, reduced police staffing and slower response coverage. Public works, fewer road repairs, reduced snow and maintenance capacity. Community services, library hour reductions, reduced senior programs. So, the state requires that the town have a balanced budget. So if the override fails, the cuts have to be made to balance the budget. Frank?
I just want to back up a notch there on that last slide. Can you pull back on that? Police and fire 11.4%, but the next slide after that, Jim, there's no mention of what cuts in fire we're looking at. We're just talking large class sizes, reductions, reduced police staffing, slow response coverage. Is slow response coverage referencing to fire?
I think it's
I would
supposed to
imagine.
be
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think
I
it's supposed
think-
to be reduced police and fire.
Yeah, I think fire
Because-
needs to be called out in this.
Sure.
Because they're being asked to cut roughly the same amount of money.
Correct,
So-
but we're only saying police here, and I want the fire in here because the fire is a major impact, potential for the town, the residents, and potentially for homeowners insurance as well.
Sure.
Yeah, I really like that bit. It was helpful to hear the interplay between fire staffing and homeowners insurance. And
Oh,
that
yeah.
below a certain level that will impact that. I think that's an important thing for us for residents to understand, to consume.
Thank you for making that addition in there, Jim. I appreciate
No,
that.
no worries, no worries. I want this to be, the thing is, what I want to avoid is the issue we ran into with the MBTA stuff, which is just a conflating of issues, creating misinformation everywhere.
Correct.
So, I want this to be factual. Like, you can point to something, this is what it is, this is what it means, and there's no way that it can be disputed, obfuscated, or twisted in a way that it doesn't mean what the town needs to have happen.
And in that light of what you just said, Jim, about the MBTA, that is a major impact on the budget without being able to get the different various grants that we need. And particularly in the schools, if I remember correctly, they mentioned those like 400,000 that they lost this year because of the MBTA.
That's correct. 400,000 in discretionary grants.
And that's strictly in the school. That
Yeah.
doesn't include the town stuff that we have going on and our litigation cost.
Correct.
And
Those are all driving the budget numbers as well to being higher with the override, you know? The override is 1.5 million and 400,000 of that's it just in the school alone. So now instead of 1.1, we're at 1.5. You know, you can look at those numbers any way you want, but that's reality.
Right.
Yeah.
And our attorney's fees. And we haven't even got in the courtroom yet.
No, and I think I believe the information I have is they're waiting to hear how the Marshfield case plays out in the Supreme Court.
Yes, the Marshfield article, if anybody read that over the weekend, wasn't pretty.
No.
I have a question. Did the chapter we were told the Chapter 90 funding went down from either 3 or 400K for roadways? Is that related to the MBTA communities?
No, that's state mandated funding.
Okay.
So Chapter 70 and Chapter 90. So Chapter 70 is for the schools. Chapter 90 is for highways.
Yeah.
And it's based on the amount of the amount of mileage of roadways you have to cover in your town. So that has decreased.
Yeah.
For Halifax, I don't know if that is as a result of the MBTA non-compliance, but it shouldn't be because those are state mandated funds.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I
think it is.
I didn't know the reason for the reduction.
I'm sorry?
I just didn't know the reason for the reduction in the Chapter 90. That's why I was trying to understand what the reason was for the reduction was.
Lindsay may be able to weigh in a little bit on this, or Steve, but I don't think Steve's on.
I don't think Steve's on.
What was the cut on that, Lindsay? 200 or 400? That we talked about?
It was actually 3 something. We usually get a little over 7, and we are getting
4?
Yeah. So it's actually like 300, a little bit more than 300. So yeah, I was almost cut in half.
Yeah, so 300.
Whether or
Go
not it's
ahead.
MBTA, I don't have the answer for that.
No, I'm not going down that road.
Right.
I'm going to go,
yeah.
it's on the federal side because it's highways and roads and things of that nature, funding that the state probably receives from the federal government. And then whatever they have from that funding gets dispersed amongst the towns.
Yeah,
I
no.
believe that's how that works.
I just wanted to say that I don't know what the reason is for that.
Yeah.
But that was in fact a reduction of $300,000 to $350,000.
Yeah, which is significant to our road maintenance.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
And as we're all aware, there's several roads in Halifax that need a lot of love.
It's got to be connected to something, though. There was the state Chapter 90 funding for this year increased by 50%.
Right.
So if ours went down 50%, but the state funding to Chapter 90 funds statewide went up 50%, then we got hurt somehow.
No, that's fair.
Well, that's the side that the residents don't see.
Right. Right. That's the side they need to understand also. Is
Absolutely.
that, what we're getting this year, we will not get next year.
Yeah, you're right. Right.
That's crazy. Statewide, Chapter 90 went from 200 million to 300 million for the state this year. And we went down.
Right.
Instead of going up, we went down.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whether they redefined roads somehow or we were cut for some reason we don't know yet.
Nope.
But
Mike, was that Chapter 70 or Chapter 90 money?
This is Chapter 90 money. I just looked it up now. Chapter 90.
Oh, it was 90 money. Yeah.
Yeah.
So why is Halifax getting a $300,000 hit then from the state?
Right.
Yep. This was what the governor signed back in August of 25.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah.
okay.
All right. So, service reductions. So the cost of the override. So this comes straight off of the tax calculator at the Department of Revenue. The 1.5 million override. Average median home value currently is $532,178, $532 a year, $44.33 a month extra on top of what people are paying currently per month. And that's just an average, right? Obviously, per house value will impact what the result will be.
That's
So
a
that's
great chart, though, there, Jim. I like your chart that way. Everyone has an idea, right? Then everyone kind of has an idea what the house value is. So,
right.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
absolutely.
So we got that, and now it's up to the residents to decide. So it's their decision. Override passes, we maintain police, fire, and school staffing levels, maintain our infrastructure, and stabilize town finances. If it fails, it's immediate service reductions, continued budget pressure, and potential larger cuts later. So, I mean, this is what I think I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. Um, and just put information in there, information that can be verified through other means.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim, I think this is great. I think this is to your point, it cuts right to the chase. But I think what it really does too is it opens conversation, albeit amongst the residents themselves, if nothing else.
Right.
Because there is enough gray here where you need to drum up conversation in order to talk through it. So I think this is an outstanding job.
Well, it's a start. That's what I look. That's what I think. It's a start, and we'll see what happens after the override study committee figures out what they want to do. Right.
What's the
Um,
timeline on that, Jim?
I'm sorry.
What's the timeline on them making a decision here, the override
I
study?
I don't know. They're meeting tonight. That's so I think Steven's at that meeting. Um, so I don't know what their timeline is. I think we need to get this out there fast.
Yes,
I
that's
would
what I'm
say
getting
by
at.
like Friday. That's what I would say if I was on that committee.
Yeah. Well, maybe Mike will be on here in a little bit when he gets out of that meeting.
Yep.
We can know what they're talking about.
So, it's just going to be, and I think I would like to, and Lindsay, I would like to encourage all of our department heads to put together some kind of write up of what a cut would mean to their division and how that would impact the residents directly.
Yeah, that's something that Steve's already talked about doing.
And then that stuff needs to get published, whether it's a video or whether it's a Word document, whatever. Let's get it out there.
I think that the idea as well that crystallized the importance of this from the last meeting we had was when uh, cuts are made that cascade beyond just the 10% cut or whatever the cut would be if the override fails, that there's certain things that could happen to trigger more cuts at the library or the fire, or we permanently shelve an ambulance. Like there's things like that it's not just the money piece, it's looking at the bigger picture of how that impacts the community because of the cascading events and some of the obligations that these department heads have to meet their own certification and accreditation. Like the library, it was pretty scary to hear the library, if they were to lose accreditation, and just the years it took. Was it West Bridgewater? I don't think is still out of their budget hole, and their community can't access the wider network of libraries that they're a part of. I just think things like that are helpful for people to have real world links to what can happen if this doesn't pass. So.
Yeah. Well, it's essential for the finance committee when these cuts come for the town administration and the finance committee to engage with the community, get feedback, right? I think the number one thing we need to do is ensure that we are as transparent as we possibly can be with everything that we're discussing and everything that's possible out there. When we're talking about delaying maintenance and infrastructure projects because we don't have the funding to do it, when we're talking about reducing even further library services, parks and rec, when we begin probably asking families to put more into it from their own pockets because the town can't provide specific things that we currently provide. I'm sure that, from an administrative perspective, they're going to be looking at streamlining, how many people do what and teaming things up on an individual to share that service across the town hall. obviously, and I think everybody can agree that the number one challenge is going to be the school, right? So the
Yeah.
schools who, for some reason, come to a finance meeting without numbers, and saying
It's
that
a
their net
music.
school spending number has to be, what they don't even know what that is, and I don't know. That may be true, but I would think somebody at the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education knows what the net school spending number is for the school. So, we just got to make that phone call, I think. But the lawyer, I sent everybody the spreadsheet of the current budget for the elementary school. I cut it up a little bit when I got it, and have some, kind of odd thoughts on why we contribute $500,000 to the administrative part of the school and the shared
Yeah,
service,
fine.
as it were.
Yeah, the numbers are crazy in these budgets. It's yeah, and they don't come in and explain it.
No,
So
No.
so we have to get this right. Like this process between the schools and communication back to the town is problematic at best. And we saw it last year. We're looking at it again right now this year, but nothing changes with the process that they use to make it a more transparent one. And I believe it was Sarah in our meeting last week made a comment about how they work on the budget behind the scenes and then they send their draft out in December for folks to take a look at for the first time. I believe that's what she said. And if that is in fact true, how does it make sense that the first input anyone has with a line item that's 53% of our budget, nobody has any input in that until it becomes final draft for people to look
Yeah,
at?
why is
That
that?
just doesn't make sense. And I'm not faulting the school committee. I know they work really hard. I'm friends with a lot of them, and I respect the work that they do. But administration needs to come back and be a little bit more transparent. I didn't feel like a lot of the questions that we were asking in our meeting last week were answered with much confidence at all. And there's several line items in that budget where you can look at it and raise eyebrows and say, why are we increasing by this percentage? And to not get a response that makes sense is nothing else but concerning. So I don't know how we do it. I don't know what we do, but we've got to figure out a way to have all of us be more accountable with this particular budget because it is so significant to the town overall. And the way it's being done right now doesn't work, but we need them to meet us halfway. And that's kind of my point.
Amen.
Jim, I know you tried to make it happen for this year, and it's for some reason we're not getting that pull back, and I don't get it. But that's all I wanted to say. I wanted it to be on record.
No, and I think that's a fair point, EJ. I've been going after the school at least twice a month, asking them what their budget for next year will be. And and again, I understand that they're busy. I understand that they're, they say they're shorthanded, and they may be. I just don't think that what we're asking as a town is unreasonable when they're coming to us for an assessment of $8 million for the middle school and the high school, and an additional $500,000 from the elementary school in shared costs.
Yeah, it could be as simple. And Jim, I know the effort that you've put in this year with them. I admire you for it. But the reality of when you're creating a budget of this size, I'm assuming it's not done just word of mouth sitting in a room. There has to be dialogue within that group that happens and presentations that happen within that group in order for them to form their numbers. If it's too much because of the workload that's on their plate, I get it. I mean, if they're overloaded, then fine, exclude us from those meetings, but share the information. And that's it's as easy as that. Take the slide deck that you present and share it with the folks that need to know because they need to be able to talk to the community about it. And when that doesn't happen, it makes all of us look bad. So we're not asking them to go out of their way for us. We're just asking them to share information.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when 71% of the budget is wrapped around the labor, there should be enough help within the central office budget to get numbers out in a timely fashion to the finance committee and the town of Halifax. So I just don't buy that BS. There's no way that they don't know what these numbers are rolling every day. And there's no reason they can't be sending out estimated numbers at a minimum to the finance committees of the three towns.
Yeah, no, and I know that, Frank, but I don't want to finger point in the process either, right? Because we truly don't know what their process is. We don't know how they form their budget every year. But I think that's part of my issue. Like we want to know because we want to be able to help. And the way to go into this is say, okay, whether it's you're short-staffed or whether you're just excluding us, whatever the reason is, we have to put that aside now and figure out how we get it right moving forward. It needs to be a moving forward conversation and not stay stuck in the mud as to why we keep doing it the same way over year.
We ask every year, and Jim asks twice a month, and we get the same BS answers or nothing at all. And you show up at a town meeting with a frickin' card, 4.5 by 8 card with a budget on each side of it is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think Steve seems like he's motivated to try to get this right too. I think he might, maybe he'll be the push that we need. But there's definitely more recognition to it this year from his level than we've seen in the past.
Well, the school needs to reciprocate as well.
Right. It's got to be more collaborative than what it is now. It just has to be. And I understand that they have 3 towns they're working with. That certainly is a consideration, but that's not an impossibility. I think we've all
It is not.
we've all worked on cross-functional teams where there has been more than 4 people you have to talk to at once.
Absolutely. And if somebody's using that as an excuse, then we got the wrong person speaking.
Yep,
This is ridiculous, and they need to hear that it's ridiculous. They need some egg on their face and get in gear and get moving on this damn thing.
I'll say, I got 2 seconds. I think on the positive side, if we can encourage the school committee and department to understand how much they need the town to buy into their budget and their program. I think that's what I tried to say at the meeting last week, when we talked about the things like, paid busing or paid kindergarten. I think the town of 7,000 plus needs to know that they're making the same sacrifices and looking at the same things that the rest of the town is, and then get the town to buy in. And so far, we haven't seen that, which makes it hard for the general public to say, okay, here's $10 million. Do what you want to do.
Yeah, we're fine.
Right.
And we're here as a finance committee to help the entire town, helping the school. We need to understand their numbers so we can best advocate. Why do you need this additional money? What are you doing? So that when we have townfolk who are upset because their taxes may be going up, we can help articulate why, offer them a compelling reason why the school needs additional funds. We need to understand that, and that they should know we're here to assist and to help guide and not to be an obstruction. But we have to understand it because people are going to ask us. It's our budget. We have to be able to present it to them and articulate why these numbers are what they are.
Exactly.
I have a quick question. Does anybody remember off the top of their head what the net school spending number was that they asked for last week?
They didn't have.
Oh,
last year?
Didn't they give us a ballpark number the other day at the meeting?
800,000. I thought that's
Not for this year. Not for next year. No,
They didn't.
they said their
What was it?
statement
No, they
was
said 8 million. Right? There was not 8,096,750. I found it.
Something, right?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the estimate that they threw out. Yes.
That was
Right.
the estimate.
All right. So just per Mass Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, Office of School Finance, the required net school spending in 2024 was 7,849,455. In 2025, it was 7,618,209. So I'm not sure what the formula works or why it went up. If it went down roughly
Now it's going up.
230,000 from 24 to 25, I don't know why it would go up 500,000 for 25 for 26 or
No,
27.
I don't either. It's a
Well,
good
I think
question,
just-
Michael.
I just like to be able to find
I would
information. I
think
have
that
numbers.
there's somebody that has that answer, but they're not talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way it went down from 24 to 25 by 15%, the required spend, and then it's up that much money for next year. I need if they could tell us, that'd be great. I just don't understand why. Anyways, that's my
Lindsay,
thoughts.
do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, I looked at so this is all preliminary, but I pulled up the website on Thursday and the required contribution from the town is 4 million, I'll just say 4.4. And then the chapter 70 aid is a little over 3.6. So it does say on the website that the required net school spending is the 8,096,000 that they gave. I do know that the contribution number from the town, the 4.4, the benefits is included in that. The building insurance is included in that number. The health insurance is included in that number. So how it all works together and comes to the net school spending number, I don't know. But those three numbers were just on that website. I can share the link too if anyone wants to look at it. It
Yeah,
shows
please
all
do.
of Massachusetts.
Yeah, please share that.
So I can send that link
okay.
with everybody to everybody.
Definitely the mass.edu page, Lindsay.
It
Department of
was
Education, Mass.
on. Yeah, the Department of Education.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I'll send it right now.
Now let it fall on purpose so I can see. Sorry. Thanks.
Right. Okay. So we've discussed the override. So it's going to be 1.5 million. That's the override number. How it appears on the warrant has yet to be determined, which will then have to be reviewed by us and approved by the finance committee, because it would be our approval that goes into town meeting. One of the things that I did when I looked at the budget that Steve had put together and put in the Word document that he shared, a couple of the things I thought we shouldn't cut, and one of them was holidays in Halifax. So he had eliminated that budget completely and was looking for that committee to do fundraising, I think is what the selectmen are asking or thinking about having them do. Personally, I think for $3,500, That's not something I would cut because I think holidays in Halifax, brings a lot of families in, brings a lot of people in, and the kids and grandparents and parents. And I don't think, just personally, I don't think that's something the town should be looking at cutting off. Now, I understand that it's, a line item that is to be managed, right? But I think its benefit far outweighs the spend of $3,500.
Right.
Was that the total spend for the entire night, or is that
That was,
what
I
are
think
there?
so. Yeah, I think so.
That's not like that's like minus donations or plus donations or
Correct. No, that's minus. That's without any donations. That's the town's contribution.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. The majority of that event is through um, donations and
Right.
things like that.
So, I mean, we can push it all out. It's, that's something I think we should discuss. I personally don't think that's you know, the right way.
Good.
I would vote
uh,
to keep that on our budget no matter what. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
It's important to the town.
Yeah.
And $3,500, yes, that's a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, there's other ways to save $3,500
Right.
on a lot of some of the other department things that can be looked at, which were already looked at, but there's probably still some room left.
Correct.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that's mostly for detail work, I believe, for the night.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are a couple of things. I think it's going to be, I'd really like to get to like reviewing how this is going to appear on the warrant so we can, kind of hash it out sooner rather than later. Now, I understand it's going to be a little bit, right? Because it's still being worked on, Lindsay. Correct me if I'm wrong. And there are some adjustments that need to be made still as it is. But the sooner we can have a look at it and kind of give some feedback on what we think it should be or how it should be broken up, it's going to be better for us to be able to discuss with the town residents. There we go. No, don't do that. So have you guys had an opportunity to look at the proposal that Steve had in the document?
Are you talking about the one that he sent
Yeah.
prior to the last meeting?
The one that had the two budgets in it.
Yeah.
One had the with an override, one had without an override.
Without the override, yes.
Okay. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Anything?
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yes.
Nothing from me. Nothing.
No? Okay.
Nothing that hasn't already been discussed.
Right. 'Cause we went into that. I felt we went into that pretty good the other night. And that's why I was wondering if he's changed anything since that document came out that we haven't seen yet.
Not that I am specifically aware of.
Because he said he was going to go in and redo a lot of things within that document as far as
Right.
the budget numbers, the verbiage,
Right.
and things
Yep.
of that.
I don't think he's sent anything out new, Lindsay. Has a new document been created yet?
No.
No? Okay. All right.
Yep, I like it. I think it was articulate, straight to the point, clear, gave a rationale, history. I think it's important to understand the history of where Halifax has been and where we are now. You
Okay.
can do a good job.
Yeah, well, and we need to make sure that your document or your PowerPoint, Jim, I should say, isn't contradicting anything he says or what that document says versus what yours says as well,
Right. No, that's fair. I've left the document. The PowerPoint will be left in his hands to work with the override
Oh.
study committee. I just put something together because I hadn't seen anything yet, and I just thought we should have something, that makes sense and makes sense to, everyone else. All right. Okay. So, we'll if there's no other comments or questions or discussion around the budget meeting review, we will close that agenda item. We'll move on to the town administrator updates. Lindsay, anything Steve left with you to chat about?
No.
Okay. All right. So we will close that item out, and hopefully when we meet again, which is we'll talk about next meeting planning here shortly, we'll have Steve on to give us kind of an update of where he's at with everything. So that closes out that specific item. We'll move on to correspondence and as may arise. I haven't gotten anything from any townspeople. I checked the town mailbox today. There's nothing there. Does anybody on the committee have anything they would like to discuss outside of what has already been discussed with the committee while we are all here?
Yes, if we can get some kind of an update as soon as possible regarding what the override committee decides on things from
Okay.
tonight's meeting.
Frank, your mic's a little kind of fuzzy.
How about now, Jim?
That's better.
Okay. I was laying back a little bit. Sorry about that. If we could get something from the override committee on what they decided tonight, because the window's getting really tight here and they need to have some decisions, and where we're at with things, because May's coming up quick.
Yes, it is. It's going to be here before you know it.
Yeah,
We probably
2 weeks.
got
we're in
it. It's
April.
got to, and the warrant has to go to print 2 weeks before, right?
Yeah.
So we got to have something by before in the next couple of weeks.
Right. In the next 2 weeks, that's it. So a couple big decisions need to be made on what we're doing here and how we're going to get the message out.
Yep.
Then we can start the road show.
Yeah. And hopefully to take an account of a road show.
Well, we need to get public meetings up.
Yeah.
That's what we need to have happen. And give people an opportunity to show up.
So, about that, Jim, can we do those virtually as well, or no?
Well, I mean, they were all virtual last year, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought we were up there in
No, wasn't
person.
one of them in
Yes,
person?
we were there. We were there. If
We
you
were
can
there,
make
yeah.
it there, yeah. If you need to be virtual for the meeting, that's absolutely fine.
But the residents had access to those meetings, the live feed.
Yeah,
Yes.
no. I wasn't referring to me personally. I was referring to the residents and making sure that they have virtual access to it as well.
Mhm.
Only because we don't see people physically there. That's all.
Right.
But
Right.
if we have it already, that's good.
But unfortunately, last year we only had a handful of people on those meetings. And it
Well,
seemed
we had some on the first one. We had, I think, none on the second one.
I thought we had a couple, but yeah, either way, it was a heck of a lot less than I would have thought.
Right.
I think if people want the answers they're looking for, hopefully they'll show up and we'll start talking about it in advance,
Well, I think the first place we need to go, Mike, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the first place we need to go with any document is out to the social media stuff.
Yes. Yep.
Mhm.
The Halifax community page, the Halifax locals page, all that stuff. Just get it out there.
Yeah, and then come talk about it in person. They got to
Right.
come want to talk about it and ask us questions and get true information.
Exactly right.
We live in the same community. We don't live in the virtual world while we exist a lot of our time there. These are actual cuts or level funding that will affect our real world, not our virtual world. And let's come together and have hard adult conversations about things that affect all of us.
Right.
Yes, there'll be no anonymous cuts.
No, it's true. That's
There will
true.
not be.
Yeah,
There will not be.
someone, Someone
Harry-
will be impacted by it.
Yes, Mrs. Anonymous. I've
Yep.
got to get the feelings of the
Right.
Cubs if they don't want to come get the information. That's
Yep.
what I can say.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very true. Very true. All right.
I had wanted
If
to bring
there's
up.
nothing else,
I had one
go
question.
ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
Katie. The Massachusetts Municipal Association sent out a notice of a meeting of town finance committees on April 9th in Middleton
Yeah.
from 6 to 8. Has this committee gone to that type of meeting in the past, and what are our thoughts about it for this time?
So those are in Western Mass.
Middle-
Those are for the towns that couldn't make it to the annual meeting in October.
Oh.
So they split it up into two separate meetings. They have some out west for those towns out there who don't drive over to Shirley.
Yeah.
Sharon into Sharon.
Sharon.
And just for everybody's edification, next year is going to be in Foxborough.
Foxborough.
Yeah.
Where, Gillette?
At the new Foxborough Community Center.
Oh,
Oh, okay. That's not too far.
No, that's not too
much
bad.
further.
It's right next to Sharon. Yeah, it's about 40 minutes. It's a
Not
beautiful
too
center,
much.
by the way.
yeah. Take 495 north to go south on 95 to get there.
Hey man, any way
Yeah.
I can get close to Bass Pro Shops, I'm going.
That must be where you got that shirt tonight, you little camo shirt, huh, Jim?
This is Ireland rugby.
Oh, I couldn't see the island. Okay. All I saw was the camouflage top. I thought you were out hunting.
So yeah, next year will be in Foxborough.
Oh,
Good.
All right. Anybody have anything else?
No.
Okay, we will close out correspondence and as may arise and move into public participation.
No.
Anyone from the public have
Yeah.
anything they would like to ask the committee while we are here? Comments, questions about any of the discussions? Okay, hearing none, we will close that. And that'll take us into next meeting planning. So, I will chat with Steve. I'd like to put another virtual meeting on the calendar for next Monday, if that works for everybody, 6 o'clock. Just to focus
That's fine.
on like the budget and the articles, and yeah, if we can get some feedback on where we're at with that.
Yeah, we could have budgets, could have the override committee, right?
Right.
We should have free cash certified by then. Or is that right, Lindsay?
Yeah, still don't know what that is.
It's supposed to be today,
I
wasn't it?
have not gotten anything from the state yet, so I don't know.
I think at one of the last meetings, somebody had mentioned March 15th or 16th would have been.
Yeah, when do we normally get
So-
that, Lindsay? Yeah.
Yeah, it's in March. I will get when everything's been accepted, certified, all that, I get an email from the state. So just waiting on that.
Okay, so everything's been submitted then.
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Steve said March 15th actually was the date, so it could be any day now. Hopefully. Yeah.
One would hope.
Yeah, you know.
One would hope. All right. So that will be the 23rd.
That's a virtual meeting, correct?
Virtual meeting on the 23rd. I'll get an agenda up. It'll be fairly general. Budget, warrant articles, and then our usual lineup of items. Does that work for everybody?
Yes, sir.
For me, Jim.
All right. Very good. All right. Well, if there is no further business with the Finance Committee, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mike? Second. Thank you. Roll call vote. Cheryl?
Still muted.
Oh,
Wow. I think that's a yes.
Where'd she go? I think she's,
Frank?
did she drop off?
Yeah,
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
gone.
Yep, she already adjourned.
I guess that's a yes. Frank?
Adjourn, please.
Thank you. EJ?
Yes to adjourn.
Mike?
Yes, to adjourn.
Rod?
Yes, to adjourn.
I'm a yes as well. We are adjourned. Thank you all for joining. We'll talk next
Thank
week.
you all.
Take care,
Good night,
everyone.
guys. Girls.
Bye.
Bye.